took me much longer to get set up and ready to go, but that's fine. Why aren't my captions working? Hey, captions! Have you just decided that you don't want to recognize? Okay, hold on a second. Hang on a second. Why aren't they working? These captions. Well, while I figure this out, how's it going? How are we doing? Why aren't they working? This is tragic and horrible, and I hate it. Cool, so captions just hate me now. I understand. How about now? Are you working now? No? No. Yes! Yes! They're working now. Perfect. Okay, good. I don't know what their issue was, but it's fine. There we go. Is it? Yeah. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright. Hi. Hello? I think I've got everything set up now. Prudy, thank you for the contribution to the gummy hunt. My brain is not here at all. Let me start off by saying that I slept like 10, 11 hours last night. I got so much sleep, which is great, but it has left me just completely non-functional today because I haven't gotten that much rest ever. But also especially over the last like week because it's been so hot, and it was actually like a decent temperature last night. It was very good. It was very good, but I can barely think right now. It's nice. It's like a good sort of not being able to think or function, but it's still complicated things a little bit. So we're starting just a couple of minutes late. It's not that much. But that did... Yeah, I did notice that I I messed up my message and I just didn't care enough to try and fix it. It's fine. I struggled for the first few hours that I was awake to like genuinely kind of like figure out what reality was. It was weird. Hi Jesse. Welcome in. Yeah, I slept so dang good. I forgot how to type and do anything. So that's been fun to deal with. But it's great. It's great, you know? I got some sleep. But that did kind of leave me a little anxious to potentially play Song of Horror, especially since we're still stuck on that really bad, horrible maze puzzle. Didn't want to deal with that, and so I was like, you know what, let's play something else. And I've been thinking about Call of Cthulhu for a while. It was what I was going to do during the weekdays, until Song of Horror replaced it, but I also wanted to get back to finishing the Last of Us, specifically starting part 2, the second game, but I was equally excited for both of them, so it's Call of Cthulhu. That's what we're doing today. And I'm stoked about it. I've only seen the first, like, 10 minutes of this game. I have played the tabletop that this is apparently based on. I didn't realize that this was based on the tabletop. Okay, I mean, like, I've heard great things about Call of Cthulhu. I have seen somebody play Dark Corners of the Earth before, and I thought these were more related, but I don't think they are. They might not be. We'll see. Would highly recommend Song of Horror, but go into it knowing that some of the puzzles are incredibly mean. But it's a cool game. It's really dope, and I would highly recommend. But I think we're just gonna go ahead and start now. I think we're just gonna start, because I'm, like, ready to go. I don't want to mess around too much. I want to play this dang game. Hopefully, it's not too loud. I've messed around with the settings a little bit prior to us starting. Edward Pierce, veteran of the First World War, drowns his memories in liquor and sleeping pills. He's now a private detective who has trouble finding a case able to lift him from his torpor. Pierce must find a new case quickly, or risk losing his license. Edward. Do we want to enter madness? But as per usual, if the sound is a little off, too loud, too quiet, or anything like that, let me know. We'll try and fix it. Yeah. I am mad at his mercy! May the gods pity the man who, in his callousness, can remain sane to the hideous end. That was incredibly difficult to read, and I realized that there were better captions at the bottom. This is fine. Hey, farts! Shark. Dead shark. Goop. We're in Goop Land. Hi, Salvia. How's it going? How's everyone doing today? Actually, tell me how y'all are. Slash, I saw that you said that you slept all day, Jesse, and that makes me happy. Sleep is good and important, and I know that a lot of us are very bad at sleep, so if you can get it, get it. My mouse is so dang sensitive. Well, have I got some Lovecraft for you? That's precious. I love that. Camera sensitivity down. I want you down. Apply, please. Yes. That is much better. Okay. Oh no, not nauseous. Okay, maybe don't feel that. But get as much rest as you can. How do I... What is the interact button? E is interact. I mean, I didn't think I was gonna break that, but I still needed to know what the button was. Yeah. Not bit. I'm sure it's fine. I wouldn't worry about it, actually. Give? Give. Give. Give? Will not give. You cannot have. Okay. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Meta adjustments are the worst, but also the greatest, but also the worst. They're great if you need them, but that acclimation period is not fun. Okay, I understand what that icon was now. It was telling me I needed the silly little lantern. Yeah, this is the very start of the game. We just started. So you have not missed anything. I know about as much as you do about what's going on or why I'm here. I assume we're just having a terrible fever dream because we drink too much and take too many slipping pills because I also can't talk. Yeah, that's cool. Do you want to break that too? No? Alright, that's fine. I am very excited to play this. We'll probably switch between this and Song of Horror over the next little while. Because I do want to get back to Song of Horror because I was really enjoying it, but... Orca. My brain just cannot... I know I'm gonna be very bad at the puzzles that it wants me to do right now, so we said no.
Don't fight. You have been chosen.
Okay. I'm a wiener. Get me in there. Get in there.
Everything has already been written.
It's a bunch of Slendermen.
But perhaps you will attempt to change your destiny.
Tent Man. I like your arm. There is a lot happening right now. I'm getting a Voldemort. Oh no! It was fever dream time.
I hate whiskey.
Then why are you drinking it, you goober?
Married
What is
woman
this?
runs off with her girlfriend. The husband couldn't understand it.
Husband never understood that his wife had left him. Kept on calling me weeks after the investigation had been closed. Good for her.
Natural sciences, linguistics,
can I turn this
archaeology.
I don't. Thank you.
Natural sciences, linguistics,
Okay,
archaeology.
that's what he was. I didn't hear what he was saying because I was
good
too
old
busy.
story of blackmail in a speakeasy.
Bar owner who hired me didn't like the way I closed this case, but when you're already outside the law, there's not a lot one can do against a private detective who's got proof against you. Quite probably. Quite possibly.
I'm listening.
Are you Edward Pierce, private investigator contracted by the Wentworth Detective Agency?
That's correct.
Hello, Mr. Pierce. I'm Lucy Sherrifield, in charge of investigators over at Wentworth. I'm
Okay.
calling because of a problem with your file. A fire has destroyed some of our documents.
Is that right?
I'm so very sorry, but I have to collect your personal information yet again.
Jesse would know. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I'm bad at stats. Okay. Do I have... No. Wait. No. Can I make my brain real dumb? Okay, these are just base stats, I understand. It all goes in Inland Empire, every time. I want to be spooky, because I'm always spooky. I have 6 points left. I like talking, and... Spot hidden? Medicine represents your medical knowledge. Proving the skill increases your chances of determining the dosage of a drug, of making a diagnosis, or of expressing your understanding of a medical problem. Investigation represents your investigating talents. Improving this skill increases your chance of understanding past events by analyzing a crime scene or an object, and of picking locks. Well, we gotta. I'll put the rest there. I'm actually going to take away the points in spot hidden and keep dumping it into occultism. Validate. I'm gonna regret these choices later on, but you know, that's fine.
Our files will soon be up to date. On a related matter,
I'm here for it. I mean,
sensitive question.
knowing that
What's
it's based on the...
As you know, we wish to closely monitor the progress of our contractors. And
Sorry, lady
it would
speaking.
seem you've been accepting fewer new cases.
Work is scarce.
Mr. Pierce, you know as well as I do, there's never been more investigative work than now.
But are those cases worth it?
There was not losing your license. Show yourself.
Knowing that it's based on the tabletop game, not entirely shocked. Hung up on her.
I'm coming.
Sir, you look a little rough. Hi, Devo. Who's this man? Who's this fancy man?
Sir, I came here on the advice of a person whom I hold in high esteem, and I must say that I expected anything but a drunkard's lair.
Well, then you can go. I like that painting he's
You're free
holding.
to leave anytime, sir.
Also, that's
Do
what
you
I'm
know
saying.
to whom you speak?
Stephen Webster, industrialist and art collector. All of Boston knows you.
Tell me, Mr. Pierce, are you capable of handling a new case, or are you simply a deadbeat inebriate?
If you
Wow.
come to me, it means you're desperate.
Nobody believes me. They take me for an old fool.
Have you
Sarah,
considered
my little girl,
that you're an old fool?
she is dead. Even you must know of her. She was
Making great first
Sarah
impressions over
Hawkins.
here.
The painter? Yes. Everyone knows her work.
The police accuse her of killing her family. They all died in a fire. Sarah, her husband, and Simon, my grandson.
I can't do anything for a woman who is already dead.
Find out the truth. They say she was mad, but I know that's a lie. She would never have done such a thing.
I'm
But
so
if you
sorry. I
have
just
no
realized
proof,
that the game is like
I've
itty
brought
bitty
all
over
that
here.
I have. Look,
I'm so sorry.
I want you to look carefully at this painting.
There we go.
Tell me all the assumptions that come to mind.
Let me just have the game be so small that you can't see it. That's what we want, right?
What am I supposed to find?
Tell me if this is the work of madness. Or if, on the contrary, you manage to detect some logic, a rationality to follow so that I may understand it.
Please
Is that all you
question
want
it!
from me?
Yes, please.
All right. I'll look at the picture. That's all you've got?
Please.
The painting?
It's just
I placed
a
file
new
on your
thing that
desk.
I'm trying.
It contains
No,
everything I have on the affair.
Please. I had changed the size of the capture because we were playing Dino Crisis, and it's a funky shaped game. And then I forgot to change it back.
A warehouse on Darkwater.
No,
Some
it
sketches
is a
of
cool
the Hawkins
background though.
family.
Glad you think so.
Rather thin.
No, I just had forgotten to change everything back the way it needed to be. It's fine. Okay, we've got the file on Sarah Hawkins' case, a shipping label. Some of it is unreadable, but I can make out part of the address. Warehouse 36, Darkwater. The police report. It says that the fire started in the dining room and claimed the whole family. Police decide on a domestic accident, but they nevertheless insist on Sarah Hawkins' mental frailty. Why? Because we're terrible and like to blame mental illness for everything. A press cutting! An article written about the marriage of Sarah and Charles Hawkins, businessman from the island of Darkwater. They live a recluse life there with their only son, Simon. Okay, that's cool. Can I... Oh, I can rotate things. I hope that's not important for later. I know you want me to examine the painting game, but I kind of want to look at everything else. Look at this good board! I need to pick up some red thread for our board back here. I need to work on that a little bit. Alright. What do you got, painting?
Its strange beauty isn't enough to hide the feeling of dread it carries.
So, Mr. Pierce, what do you make of these elements?
I was gonna say, man needs to get on the screen. Are these... I want to ask a lot of these, but I don't know... Let's do... Yeah, let's
Her
investigate.
husband was a big deal on the island. But the police are
Everyone needs a
sticking to
good
the
conspiracy
accident.
board, honestly.
Though they mentioned Sarah's mental state was fragile. I believe you are right, sir. This case is not as simple as it appears.
I support
I
this.
am aware of that. I believe there is more to this case than just an accident.
Okay,
You must tell me if what the police suggest about the mental state of your daughter is true.
No. Sarah had visions. Everyone knew that.
Sir, your
She
arm is
never
clipping
heard
through
a
your body.
fly. She
Sir, your
only
arms are
thought
clipping
she
through your
saw
body.
things.
Saw things? What do you mean by that?
Sorry, it was
I
just
never
very
knew what she meant
distracted.
by that. My daughter was an enigmatic figure, Mr. Pierce. You must find out the truth about her life and death.
Okay. Where did Sarah Hawkins live?
Never heard of the place. Where is that?
It's a small, remote island off the coast of Boston. Sarah lived there with her son and her husband.
I suppose
Fair
you want to ship
point.
me off there.
What's more
cosmically horrific than watching parts of your body clip through other parts of your body?
The sender's label mentions Warehouse 36.
That's right. It came with Sarah's last painting.
And you think your daughter could have been the sender?
It normally
That is
doesn't
what
bother
you
me, but I
must
just
find
found it
out.
like incredibly
Go to
distracting.
Darkwater. Find
It's
Warehouse
whatever.
36.
Okay. Wait, why is that still
The sender's
put up?
label mentions Warehouse,
That's right.
and you think your
That
Okay,
is
this
what
is all
Go
the
to
same.
Dark-
I don't understand why that's still... It's fine.
I
That's
think
all the
I'm
information I
beginning to
need.
understand.
I'm willing to do anything for my daughter to recover her honor.
Quiet down. I'm on your side. Let's
Edward's
something
kind of a dick.
An artist dies with her family in a house fire. Your only clue is a sort of promontory painting sent from Darkwater right before her death,
Correct. And the rumors about her supposed folly.
which you don't totally deny.
Find that warehouse. Find
Is
out
that
the
just like
truth
a
regarding
staple
Sarah
of being like a
Hawkins' death.
PI?
You'll be handsomely compensated.
All right.
Like as you're
I'll
going
take the
through like
case.
the resume
I'll
to
go
find
to
like a good
Darkwater
PI,
and look into
being
the
a
death
dick
of
has
Thank
to be
you,
one
Mr.
of those,
Pierce.
one
I
of the
didn't
like
expect any less
prerequisites,
coming
right?
from a man in your situation.
Something's queer. But it's not like I have a choice.
Oh, you mean about the situation?
Darkwater.
see. I understand.
I think I've got a book on the North Atlantic. I'll no
Alright,
doubt
well-
find some information on this island in there.
Private dick.
The lost.
True.
Holding your position and obeying orders. That isn't courage.
Oh, dang, bud. That's rough. What's in here? I know they want me to look for this book, but I want to read some other things first. The Learning of Medicine, Volume 1! A dense work aimed at interns and young practitioners. This first volume lists all illnesses known in the civilized world. It details the symptoms and suitable treatment. Medicine progression.
Wentworth Agency
Perfect.
doesn't attract top-notch cases.
Okay. And I think I've looked at everything else in here. We will be exploring and trying to find items.
I used to be an avid reader.
Okay, but is that... He said he had a book on the thing, and that's where the books are. Edward! Listen! Yeah, I either have to leave for... Here's the other books.
Natural sciences, linguistics,
Wait.
archaeology. Darkwater is off the
There we
coast
go.
of Boston. But I've never heard of it. According to this book, it was often mentioned during whale hunting times at the end of the 19th century. But it seems to have been shunned since then.
Darkwater Island has been inhabited since the 14th century and is still rich with the many memories left by its lost tribes. But don't let the romanticism of these moving evidences of such naive and primitive beliefs fool you into forgetting how violent their gods were. A gigantic creature still ornates the walls of long-abandoned caves. Was it a sea or a dream god? No one knows. But today's inhabitants, the sons and daughters of the proud whale hunters, still remember the mysterious and tumultuous story of their small land off the coasts of Massachusetts. Same though.
All I have to do is go to the port.
I would like
I
to
just
go
hope that I can find a boat
on a
able to
spooky
take me to
adventure. Please, please, please.
I
please,
wonder
please.
why I still take these things.
It's called addiction, my friend. The doctors prescribed them when I returned from the war. They swore that they would put an end to the nightmares. But for a while now, their effect has been wearing off. I have taken the sleeping pills with me. Great. Perfect. Love a good addiction enabling. Hi. Yeah. I don't know if you could hear Devo. just now. Are we being a squeak toy? Sweet boy. Oh, while we're here, grip it and rip it. Also, I should have probably read this, but that's fine. Pierce took the Hawkins case. The cursed artist is accused of having caused the fire that killed her and her family. As the only clue, she left her father a disturbing painting. On the shipping label and address, a warehouse set on the docks of the island of Darkwater. The place seems to be the starting point for Pierce's investigation. Let's go. I'm excited. I'm also itchy. Preemptive apologies if you just see me wiggling or can hear me like scratching myself. It's that time of year where I just start having terrible allergic reactions to existence. So, you know.
We're almost there.
I'm here for a good atmospheric game. This does make me want to like replay Sinking City again, which I've been threatening to do on stream for a while. So maybe we're in our our Lovecraft era. We just went through our zombie phase. Now it's all about Lovecraft. Anything to piss off Howard, right? Whoa.
Stay on board. There's guys coming to unload.
You okay?
Welcome to Darkwater Island, Mr. Pierce.
Thank you.
Why, thank you, Captain.
So, what wind brought you?
Jelly that you're doing
Does the
tabletop for Call of
Hawkins case mean
Cthulhu.
anything to you?
I really enjoyed Sinking City. I know a lot of people were kind of like on the fence about it or didn't like it. I really enjoyed it though.
Charles Hawkins
Makes me happy to know that you also liked it. You should definitely finish it.
And his wife, Sarah Hawkins.
Nice
Look at
young
this
woman.
place.
And a great painter. What a tragedy. You know what? Go have a drink at the Stranded Whale. What you need is a good pick-me-up. Mitchell
Sir,
may not be very welcoming, but his bar holds a surprise for you. As for me, you'll find me at the Harbor Master's office.
Okay.
If it's the Hawkins family that brings you here, I have a pile of documents that should interest you.
Understood.
Just casually lying
Going for a
around,
look
my
the
guy?
docks.
I miss doing tabletop games. Like, it's understandable why, like, why my particular group hasn't been meeting lately. Everyone's been busy with life, and there's been a lot of things going on. But I miss it. Yeah, I mean, combat, I could take or leave the combat. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, like, it didn't, like, break the game for me. I don't know. I really liked the investigation aspect of everything. The characters were cool. I want to play Frogware's other games, like their Sherlock stuff, because they look pretty cool.
Prohibition is just a joke around here. That suits me fine.
Alright.
Put that beast back in the water, you shysters! You're crazy!
They're cops. They can't
We do
understand.
gotta kidnap a DM.
Damn stupid idiots.
It's
Forget
The
true.
blood is just beginning to coagulate. It died a short time ago. Only a specialist would know what killed it.
You can't understand.
Could
You're
it
not
potentially
standard.
be all of the holes in
There's something coming.
the whale that
Something
killed
real
it?
bad.
Don't put that
What does this
beast
man
back-
say?
Same goes for you, sir. Move along.
But I don't wanna. Nice. If you do start doing the Call of Cthulhu one-shots on stream and stuff, I'll try and be there for it. That's exciting.
I'm
I asked
looking
about
for this
Warehouse
address.
36.
Warehouse 36, Darkwater Harbor.
Ah. And so who are you?
I didn't introduce myself. Edward Pierce, private detective.
In any case, it's not very important. I can't answer that.
You can't? Or you don't want to?
Oh, no,
But-
no. I'm not getting into those games, me. Now, please, allow me to do my job.
What is your
You
job
can't-
exactly,
Don't put
sir?
that beast back in the water, you shysters. You're crazy.
They're cops. They can't understand.
Damn
Oh,
stupid
okay.
idiots.
Well, if it's on YouTube,
Nobody listens to
that would that'll work better if we stream at the same times. Why, jeez.
You can see he's half drunk. There's nothing to sort out. Your chum
Sir?
There's
wanted
nothing
to
for you
stir us
here
up.
either. Pretense.
But you can stay
Everyone's
to watch
so
if you want.
angry at me.
Pick up the pieces.
Hi, Akko. Beloved Alpaca. Hi. Sorry, you have the same color as another friend of ours. How's it going, though, Alpaca? How are you doing? How goes? Alright, I guess we'll go into the bar. We'll do the thing that they want us to do. You are Akos? Okay. You've just changed your name then, right? Or am I just being crazy? I might just be being crazy. Okay.
Hey.
I did the disclaimer earlier. I actually got some sleep last night, and it has left me a little, like, mentally all over the place, so apologies. But hey,
Let's get him another
friends,
drink. He's drunk.
how's it going?
In my bar, we don't serve troublemakers.
Yeah, okay. I'm
Pure
sorry.
instinct. I behaved like a Hun, and I sincerely
This is...
apologize.
Veteran, huh?
307th
But yeah, how are you doing, friend?
Hmm.
Welcome in.
Well, that'll be okay for now. But the war is over. Try not to forget it.
I'm here for information, not for a fight.
I prefer it that way. Speak then. I reserve the right to answer or not.
I'm looking for Warehouse
You know
36.
where this place is? Warehouse 36,
Hold on, I need more water.
Darkwater Harbor.
The
Glad you're
Hawkins
doing well. I'm
Warehouse.
doing real good, honestly.
I see, yeah. If I were you,
Say,
I
I
wouldn't
need more
hang
water.
around.
Hold on.
Why not?
First
But yeah,
off, there are
I got
rumors.
some sleep,
Sailors from around
and it was
here
great.
say you can hear
And
noises
like, it's
coming
not
from the warehouse
too
at
hot
night.
today. It's definitely
Screams,
warm.
that sort of thing.
Screams.
Screams.
And that's not all.
But we're doing
There's the
good.
fate of its owners and all the superstitions that go with it. But I'll say no more. Anything else?
Definitely like not on top of my game entirely, but that's okay. I'm just happy to be here.
I didn't expect to find alcohol on this island.
Can
What's
these
the
men stop
source of this
singing behind
miracle?
me?
You mean who? Our source of supply wouldn't like me to betray them to the first comer.
That's
I'll
fair.
tell nobody.
She'd know it anyway. Anything else?
She, you say? Tell me about Darkwater. Why the
The
stranded whale?
stranded whale. I guess this bar has been here a long time.
What can I tell you?
This man is
I'm a
so
nostalgic
wiggly.
sort of guy. The name reminds us of the golden age of Darkwater. When our whalers
my hair
left
is
for
being
long
funny.
months and came back, sweating and stinking of the oil and flesh of the whales they'd been hunting.
Ugh.
It was a tough time, all the same.
Ah, but
Here, what
steeped
are
in
you
glory.
doing? I don't know what.
We've never
is
known
happening.
such
This
wealth
is
since
fine.
then.
What
Sarah
can you tell me
Hawkins?
about her?
We
Sorry,
all knew
I
she
am
was famous
just gonna
on the
be
mainland
bothered by everything right
for her
now.
paintings.
It's fine.
Never understood why. Then, I don't want to speak ill of the dead.
Oh. It's not speaking ill if it's true. It's true that they were strange.
Her vision. Was it so terrible?
Way I see it, the truth is really a question of point of view.
What do you mean by that?
Bothered by everything
Do
right
you
now.
still
Title of your
trust the truth
autobiography.
after a bottle of whiskey?
Honestly.
Her style made her famous. How would you describe it?
Like I said, it's like allergy
Torture.
season, so I'm just like
Yeah.
itchy
Well,
and
it wasn't normal.
I don't know.
I mean, for a
I'm
young
like
woman with a
I'm
child.
on sensory
and all that.
overload right now.
We saw them in the papers and we said to ourselves,
It's
who can
fine.
paint such things? Is that how she sees the world?
So they made you feel
So yeah,
uncomfortable.
I will be about as
You
wiggly
need to
as this
see them
man
for
during this
yourself.
entire stream.
Make up your own mind.
It's fine. Okay,
got
well,
what
enough
I
about
need.
Sarah Hawkins.
Anything else?
Honestly, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who's also like incredibly itchy and bothered by all the pollen. It's not great. It's not great, and it sounds like it's horrible like everywhere. I just wanted to stop. Let's
Captain
order a
Fitzroy
drink.
told me about a little pick-me-up.
You want a drink?
I
Only a
wouldn't
small
say
glass.
no to a glass.
Try this.
Yeah, this time of year is always so miserable. Yeah, wiggle that glass. Just shake it just
I
a
think
bit.
we'll get along well.
That... that pause! This will affect my destiny! I wish it were chalky milk.
That'll be all for now.
Okay. These men all have the same face?
Do you like our song?
We're true sirens.
We may not be pros, but we give it all we've got.
That's true. It's a reminder
No,
of the
they're all
time
different
when we were
faces.
still fishing for whales off Darkwater Island.
I'll play all the choice games for you, Salvia. I do understand that, though.
brought
Tell me about the
Whale into
Underworld.
The whales, of course.
They all disappeared.
You exhausted the stocks.
You could say that, yes.
Hi,
There were fewer
boss.
and fewer of them.
Until the
How's it going,
last,
friend?
the biggest.
The one of the miraculous
I
cats.
stress out about the choices until I've made the choice, and then I'm just like, oh, well, there we go. No, these two men. These men have the same face. What's that sound?
I've never heard this song before.
Only people from here know it. It tells the story of the miraculous catch.
It's a local legend?
Watch what you say, young man.
That catch saved our island.
Ah. Where's the proof?
Oh,
We're
Edward.
the proof.
Without it, the whole of Darkwater would have died of hunger in 1847.
The way that Edward is just coming
It's
into
true.
these places and being
Everything
like, down
happened just
constantly.
as it says in the newspaper report.
What report?
The one that's framed right
Please,
behind
sir.
you. Our grandparents tasted its flesh.
And it was delicious.
Flesh.
I bid you
alright.
farewell, gentlemen.
Good
That's
night,
cool, guys.
stranger.
So long.
Who's this man? Who's this wiggly man?
Nightmares.
Algernon!
Things and voices whispering. Will follow its reader and appear at various locations, gifted with its own consciousness, until it finds a new reader.
I trust Algernon. Shrimp check. I can't sit up any straighter than I'm currently sitting up. Thank you, though, Voss. But everyone else in chat as well, please double check that you're sitting up straight. No shrimp, no gamer posture here.
The miraculous catch. Apparently, the most significant event of the last 80 years.
All right. 21st of May, 1847. Stretch out just a little bit then. Guess you can't shrimp too much when you're lying down. That's good. The Scylla returns to port to save Darkwater from famine. We had given up hope. The crew of the Scylla, or what remains of it, returned to Darkwater port late on Tuesday afternoon. The locals immediately rushed to the docks to welcome the last whaling ship on the island. People are amazed at the sight of the unbelievable catch the brave vessel had on board. Of a size that went beyond that of the formidable toothed whales, the Cetacean? That is already being called the miraculous catch, covered the whole deck and parts of it were hanging over the side of the ship. The surviving sailors told a frightening account of their perilous catch, but also of its meat, unmatched in its quality and plentiful nutritious benefits. There is no doubt that the immense size of this whale will allow numerous inhabitants of Darkwater to feed themselves, bringing an end to the famine from which part of the island was suffering. Not the pretzel. Warehouse for rent. Mr. Marks is putting his warehouse up for rent from June for fishing, workshop, or storage activities. You can contact him via your favorite newspaper or visit him on the docks. Special evening at the Stranded Whale. To celebrate the return of our brave whalers, all the staff of the Stranded Whale invite you to an exceptional and free tasting event. Come with your family or with friends to taste the miraculous catch. Each person will leave with a bottle of oil, so don't hesitate. Great.
And then he said, "You have no right to treat us like this."
Milkmen. Oh no, member of the asylum staff.
He laughed.
My God.
I like soft pretzels. I don't like hard pretzels. Personally. Yeah. No, soft pretzels are the shit. I love them. Lady.
What you looking at, stranger?
What's a woman like you
The
doing in a
clientele
place
is
like this?
predominantly male.
Tell me something I don't know.
I meant nothing by it. I'm just wondering what a woman like you is doing in this flea trap.
Edward, I need
And
you
I'm
to
wondering
not
what could be going through
be
the
like
head of the
this.
chump who goes to disturb her. Let me drink, stranger.
You
I told
can
you
have...
to beat it.
Oh, she's angry. Okay, that's fine. I'm not a fan of them, but you can have all the pretzel crackers that you want. That's more for you, right? I love soft pretzels, though. They're very good. Fitzroy is out at the dock, right? And I've looked at everything inside the bar at this point. Correct. Fitzroy's here. Never mind. I know where he is. He said he had files for us. But before I go in there, is there anything cool over here? No. Sir,
I
I'm
wonder
gonna go
what
through your
Captain
stuff.
Fitzroy has got to say about this woman, Cat.
Captain, the terms of our agreement are clear. Keep your men under control. Cannot afford to provoke us. No need to answer this message. Just make your payment to the carrier. Cat. It's the lady inside the bar. Cat? Is that her?
Broken.
What's this?
This place seems half abandoned. Fishing equipment. Could do with some rust remover.
What's in here? Soft pretzels and cheese. I just like soft pretzels.
A souvenir from a more prosperous era. I guess this blackboard hasn't been wiped for more than 70 years.
Dang.
The Scylla. It
Oh, we're
finished up
pronouncing it
beached at
Scylla,
the entrance
okay.
to the harbor.
Okay, I understand. I will try and make a mental note of that. I'll still probably say it incorrectly because I am bad at things. More medicine! Hey! What is up here? I could talk to man. I should talk to man, but instead...
This man and Fitzroy twins.
And this photograph, a man who looks like Captain Fitzroy is posing on the bridge of a ship. He has a wooden leg.
What a macabre souvenir.
Okay. Anything in there? No. I just want to loot all the things. Take all the things.
I've brought out the Charles Hawkins cargo manifests. They're on the table next to you. But in truth, you're likely to be disappointed. When you're done, come join me on the deck.
Alright. There. This table.
These manifests are signed by Charles Hawkins. But that's all I'll get from them.
Only a few dates are still legible. 1890, 1907, and a partial date. The rest of the document is blocked out. Or blacked out, excuse me. Who would want this information to be hidden? Man moves fast. No, I see him. This is fine. Hi. I'm ready.
Here, I see everything that goes on in the harbor. The hard-working lives of my sailors, the fights at the stranded whale. Even the antics of these wharf rats don't escape me.
It's you who lays down the law around here.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I'm just the last serving captain on Darkwater. Tell me what I can do to help you.
Okay. Your documents are unreadable.
Your manifests have been blacked out. They're totally unreadable.
Yeah, I saw that. I've got no idea who did it or why. I don't remember having countersigned anything special enough for someone to hide it.
And why obliterate the dates, as well as the goods stored in the warehouse?
You mean that the dates have some meaning?
Sounds good, Akos. Enjoy your lurk. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. I thought the fishing stopped in 1847.
I'm surprised Charles Hawkins had goods to store, knowing that whaling stopped in 1847.
I see that you're interested in the history of our island. Indeed, maritime activities ceased altogether at the end of the last century. I imagine that the Hawkins family had other types of contracts.
But you don't know with whom.
No. It was
I'll
none
send you
my
some of my good
business.
weather. We gotta find a town with a cool name like Darkwater and buy it out. Move all of our friends there. Tell me about Darkwater. Who is Cat?
I found a threatening letter, signed by a certain cat.
What? I don't mind you visiting my harbor master's office, but I'd prefer if you didn't go through my affairs.
Okay, but I
Are you being
did,
blackmailed?
so who is she?
Not exactly, no. That shyster wants to make us pay protection money.
With any success?
I wouldn't say that, but she terrifies my men as
Town
much as
in
her
Michigan called Hell.
not do
Can we
anything
buy
to
out
stop it?
Hell?
Don't
I'd
you
love to live
worry
in
about
Hell. This photograph looks strangely like you.
I was looking at your photograph. The one of the man in front of the boat.
Ah, yes, I can see the one you're talking about.
Interesting resemblance. I thought it was you, but with a wooden leg.
And for good reason. That's my father in the photograph.
Dang.
Your father?
John Fitzroy, captain of the Scylla. His wooden leg is here. You can go and see it if you're interested.
Oh, I have. I look, I've gone through all your stuff already.
I'm just back from the wharves. The dead killer whale is unsettling the sailors.
Ah, yes. Us men of the sea are superstitious folk.
What would have killed
Killer
it?
whales don't have many known predators.
That's true. And normally, they're not found around here. But, you're gonna take me for a fool.
Give it a try.
Have you heard about the depths? Trenches that plunge into the earth and that shelter creatures unlike any other.
You're talking about mythology.
No.
Indeed, you're right.
Why are they putting
The
it back
police
into the
took
sea?
the decision to put the killer whale back into the sea.
You've got to understand them. They didn't know what to do with it.
I think that was a mistake. Who says that whatever caused those wounds is no longer in these waters?
You think we should have kept it?
To look into the real cause of its death, at least.
Okay. What is this miraculous catch?
Is it a local legend?
Not at all. It's an episode from our glorious past. Go read the story of the sailor's return to Darkwater Harbor. It's displayed on a wall of the stranded whale.
I read it, though. I did read it, though.
I'm looking for Warehouse 36. Do you know where it is?
Look, it's right there. The warehouse is opposite the jetty. You can't miss it.
Why was everyone being so, like...
Understood.
You know who
so
the
weird
building
about telling
belongs
me
to,
where it
don't
was when it's so large and obvious. I say, not, I have no idea.
You tell me.
I thought you would have worked it out. It belonged to Charles Hawkins. Ship owners from father to son.
But yeah, granted,
I
didn't look
That
and
explains
see.
those loading manifests.
But, like...
Too bad I can't get much out of them.
Had I
I
been
think that
outside for
somebody
more
here
than
wanted me to
the
search
time that I
this
was doing.
warehouse. I shall be on my way.
So come back and see me when you've got something new.
Great. Eee. Like, right? Like, literally, had I just looked up, I would have seen it. So, like, I don't understand why everyone was being all, like, weird about it. Also, I have trauma. Edward Pierce is a veteran of the First World War, where he took part in the Meuse-Argonne Offensive. I have no idea how to pronounce half of these words. I'm sorry. He's one of the few survivors of the Lost Battalion, American units that suffered heavy losses from enemy and allied artillery fire. Forced to hold their position for several days, surrounded by the bodies of their fallen comrades without food or medical supplies. The soldiers were considered as lost by their fellow countrymen. Pierce is traumatized by these events. He consumes sleeping pills and liquor to ward off the nightmares that haunt him. Cool. I have points to spend. Do I not have points to spend? I have 2 points that I can spend. Where can I add them? Sure, that works. Yeah, that's fine. Although, there's lots of things here that need to be cleared. We can always come back and read them later if we need to. You know how it is. Okay, cool. I just need to get rid of all of the new markers. Is there... Okay, both paths have opened up. That's the direction towards the warehouse, I imagine. So I want to go this way. Because there's other things. Who are you?
You saw what happened with those sailors. Don't hang around here unless you want trouble with the bootleggers.
You're not scared of their
I've
boss?
seen the kind of messages their boss sends. You're not scared of her.
Of course I am. Everyone's scared of that woman. She's not interested in small fry like me. You, on the other hand, nose around too much, you'll have dealings with her.
Okay. What are bootleggers
This
doing around
warehouse
here?
looks abandoned. Why does it interest them so much?
No doubt a question of territory, but I ain't asking. You want to know more, go ask the captain.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
I shall take my leave.
Again, we will be... Oh, that's a pull. I do kind of want to, like, take my time and, like, explore stuff and talk with people. I mean, I know that's kind of, like, the point of the game, but I do... Spot hidden allows you to detect hidden items in a close range. This? This lever activates a mechanism!
A handle.
Okay.
It must come from these old winches.
How do I... Ratchet device. This part enables heavy loads to be lifted and held aloft
This
without
ratchet
risk.
device seems to be usable. A whale vertebra. If the newspaper clipping in the bar is true, This bone is a real fossil.
Why wouldn't the newspaper clipping be real? Like it's the local paper. Why would they be lying to the tiny town full of locals about what they've discovered?
I could use this old winch to lift the grating.
Okay, so mount the ratchet handle. Mount. Yeah. I'm missing pieces, aren't I? I mean, obviously, incredibly mistrusting, but it's just like, I don't know, just looking at it from like there's like a certain perspective that you would look at it and be like, okay, like, realistically though, what motivation would they have? If it was just like a single person, we got a cogwheel.
It should be possible to
being
mount
like,
this
oh
cogwheel.
yeah, we definitely got this. This happened here. Can you put this away? No, you don't want to put the lighter away. Okay. It's very silly. Edward is very silly. Not that cogwheel. Turn the handle.
Looks like everything is in its place. All I have to do is turn this handle.
I saw it say something about a strength check, and I don't know if it said I succeeded. Apparently it's fine. We did it. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't go into hole. I say as I continue to go into hole. Is this gonna do a murder on me?
Smoke. It's coming from this oil. I hope it's not toxic.
It seems fine. Oh, you're just saying the same thing. Okay. Maybe I should leave. I hope it's not toxic, he says as he coughs violently. And flails a lighter in front of all the smoke. What is that? 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 Excuse? I can't do anything. This seems fine. This seems fine. This is fine. There's no problems here. At all. None whatsoever. Yeah, perfectly okay. Fine and normal, even.
This is primitive.
Is that all you have to say about it? Why did I even take all those points in occultism? Come on, buddy. Okay. We're looking around. We're investigating. We're doing I was gonna say crimes,
stinks.
but the opposite of crimes. Maybe not the
What is
opposite
the
of crimes.
connection between this place and the Sarah Hawkins case?
Very important. I regret not taking those art critic points. What is happening here? I'm reconstructing a scene, apparently. What is this?
The glass is shattered, like someone smashed it. Was it before or after the removal of these bandages? Who has enough money to buy painkillers, but stays in a place like this. It smells as bad as it looks.
Gross.
Can't sleep. I know how that feels.
Is there... There it is.
What is this picture of Charles and Sarah Hawkins doing here?
The world may never know. Can I...
Whoever hid it here seems to worship Sarah Hawkins.
Yikes!
What just happened? Did I imagine?
Cool mechanic, I like it. New clue memorized. Hawkins Warehouse. Oh, is this the Hawkins Warehouse? This isn't the Hawkins Warehouse. Did I get where I was trying to go while trying to not go there? Every time. Every time.
Someone has settled in here.
Uh-oh.
And whoever it is has something to tell me about the Hawkins case.
Oh!
Is there anyone in there? You!
Hi!
Don't move!
It's fine,
Detective
don't...
Pierce.
Don't worry.
I told you to stay away from this warehouse.
I'm gonna threaten a police officer.
Bad idea. I see only one overweight police officer and one hardened veteran.
How dare you? I am a representative of the law.
Hey, cab.
Relax. Look what I found. Can you explain what this painting is doing here?
This strange portrait. I know it.
I always try to, like, go the opposite way that the game wants me to go, and then I usually end up where they want me to go anyway, because I psych myself out.
I must admit that you seem fairly competent. But I can't allow you to stay here.
Yeah, okay, sir.
I've seen enough. It's the Hawkins Mansion that interests me now.
Of course. You want to go back along his trail. I'd like to understand how this painting made it to here. Come on.
Okay.
My car's parked down the way. Andrews, would you please shut the door? And open your eyes.
I'm not your friend.
This guy went right under your nose. God damn it. Her again.
Lady.
This case has nothing to do with you, Baker. Clear the passage or I'll shut you up for obstruction.
Officer Bradley, you've finally grown a pair. Too bad you're too fat to see them down there.
Who are you?
Come on, keep the smile. You don't want to force me to widen it.
Okay, I get it. Can we go to the mansion now?
Who the hell are you? What were you doing on my turf? I've got my eye on you.
Ma'am, I'm the one who was pestering you in the bar.
Is it far, this mansion?
I wanted to look around more game!
Look behind you, at the top of the ridge. You see the building?
Everyone's so wiggly in this game.
That's the Hawkins Mansion. Come on, we got some driving to do.
Why is their mansion so far away and so precariously placed? Pierce managed to get into the warehouse. The place, thought to be abandoned, revealed some surprises. Signs of recent occupation, as well as a partly charred painting. Interrupted in his searching by Officer Bradley, Pierce convinced him to join his investigation. Police officer is willing to drive the detective to the Hawkins Mansion. I don't know that I would say that he was convinced. We were mean to him, and then he's like, I need to figure out how to, or what's going on. Come with me. It's not really convincing. But whatever. It's fine, I'm sure. Oh, it's cool that there are, like, multiple ways to get into places. Eat neat. But also, I want to look around more. That makes sense as well, though. Again, especially if it's, like, based on, like, the, tabletop.
Well, here we are. Hawkins Mansion.
Tabletop game. You have different ways of approaching different situations based on the stats that you got.
The place has been abandoned since the fire. There's only old Winchester in his hut.
Can I... Oh, I can't do that because I don't have the high enough stat for that. Why is the caretaker still here?
He's clearly not doing any gardening.
You know, Silas Winchester has been working for the Hawkins family as far back as I can remember. Charles was like a son to him. The day of the fire, he lost his whole family, so he's got nowhere to go. And, as you'll see, in a way, he's still watching over them. Is there anything else you want to ask me? Or do you want to go up there?
I don't believe the fire is the only reason this house is in such a state.
Hi,
It's
Simon.
a very old building, you know?
Simaway is raiding with a
Its
party of
foundations
one.
would probably
Kayshurrr
date
and the
back
gang
to
welcome
the
you.
settlers.
It's got nothing to do with Charles Hawkins' death.
Welcome in, Simon.
You've
Thank you for
already
the
begun
raid,
to nose
friend.
around, it would seem.
How are
So,
you
since you
doing?
wa-
Hold on, I'm trying to pause this so the man can stop talking at me. How is it going? How are you? Can we get... There we go. Doing some wingspan. Was sick last couple of weeks. Oh no! Are you feeling better at least? Sorry that you were feeling poorly. But I saw that you went live earlier and I was gonna pop in and say hi. I ended up being... I don't know what I was doing today. I think when I saw you go live, I was working on setting stream stuff up. But, I'm glad that you're feeling better. I'm glad that you're here. We do love us some Wingspan. How's the expansion? I haven't played it just yet. But we love Wingspan here. But yeah, welcome in, friend. Like I said, I'm glad that you're feeling better. Thank you for the raid. I really, really appreciate it. But you've been streaming for a little while, so if you gotta take care of yourself, get some food, get some water, do a stretch, whatever you gotta do, feel free to get up and do that. We're playing some Call of Cthulhu today. It's chill. It's a chill day. We're solving mysteries, chasing down Elder Chores. And I'll be here for a good long while if you want to hang out after you do your stuff. Oh. I'm glad that like I said, I'm glad that you're feeling a little better, but oof, 2 weeks of not being able to stream sounds miserable. I'm glad that the expansion's good. I need to hop on some Wingspan. But yeah, like I said, if you gotta take care of yourself, please, 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 please do. I'll be here for a good long while. Makes drawing and food late game a real thing. Ooh. Yeah, no, I definitely gotta hop in on this expansion for Wingspan. But yeah, thank you, Simu, for the raid. I really, really appreciate it. If anyone here doesn't follow Simu, you should. He's a wonderful, wonderful owl streamer and does a lot of cool games. Wingspan, chess, some other like retro-y stuff every so often. You were doing Slay the Spire for a while, weren't you? But yeah, Simu's delightful and wonderful, and we love him. Oh my god!
Already know it? The Hawkins family couldn't afford the upkeep of this
I don't know
house.
why I threw retro in
It
there. My
remains
brain
to be
is
seen what they did
dead.
with all that money.
Listen.
I
don't
wager it
know.
was Charles Hawkins' travels.
I
Let's
meant...
go up there.
I don't know
Unless
what I
you still
meant.
have
Board
questions.
gamey is, I think, what I was trying to say, and my brain went to retro. I don't know. I'm tired. Alright? Listen. 27 food cached is ridiculous.
You're the one who looked after the Hawkins case.
My
Don't
brain
think I was trying to hide
is bad
It's just that
today.
this discovery
It's
shakes
bad
my
brain.
convictions.
It's bad
That's
brain
why
day.
you're so keen to find out who removed the painting.
So
from the
let's
mansion.
investigate
Yes.
stuff. This makes sense.
If something escaped us, or if there's been a law enforcement error,
Oh, jeez.
then it's up to the police to make good its mistake.
Hi, llama.
Anything else?
Cat.
I
Anything I
prefer to
should
be
be wary of?
prepared if there's going to be trouble.
It's a wise attitude. But apart from old Silas and some rotten floorboards,
He does
nothing
kind of look
wrong
like a
with him.
Psychonauts
Could
character.
he be a problem?
Strictly speaking, he ain't
Oh
dangerous.
no.
But since the tragedy, he's been a little touched. Though
no.
he's a remarkably sturdy man, given his age. A true force of nature.
A sad old man doesn't worry me.
Nice.
Gee,
No,
if
that
you
makes
don't want to
sense.
listen to my advice, we might as well go.
That'll be cool once you do get your own place and like are able to stream more regularly. I'm excited for that. I can't do either of these. I don't have enough points. Let's not waste any time then.
Night falls quickly here, and I want to be able to see.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
I'll go with you. If
I
only
wanna
to
play
reassure
Psychonauts again.
Silas.
I like Psychonauts. Okay. I don't want the cop to come with me, but I also don't want to get stabbed by
Why
the
not?
caretaker.
Right. Let's
So,
go.
you know. Also, better to have like a meat shield with me at any time. Where are you going? You're going off that way. So I'm gonna go up here and solve a puzzle before I'm supposed to. Go get your food. Take care of yourself. Again, thank you for the raid, Simon. I really appreciate it. That's what I'm saying. Gotta have a meat shield with ya. Same hat. Okay, there was nothing over there.
Recently fallen. It's as if all life has abandoned the place.
Okay, but there's a
Sturdy.
thing here.
And well sharpened. Sturdy
Is that
and well
okay,
sharpened.
that's all we have to say about it? Alright, that's fine. I guess we have to go down this way. Where did cop go? There he is. Okay, I see him. What is this?
Bradley was right. This place is much older than I imagined.
Hilltop house built in 1693 by Reverend John Wickwood. Old house. House old. You know, aside from the fact that it's falling apart and was set on fire. Cool house. Alright, what do we got?
I'll have to find another entrance.
Is that all you have to say about this? Edward. Please. Is there anything else over here that I can look at?
The axe is gone.
Yeah.
I'll be on my guard.
I would also live here, honestly. It just needs a little TLC. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna go back to where the cop is, and he's gonna be axed.
This entrance is still in use.
No, what are you doing? Don't go in there!
Whoa!
You fool. Is that Silas?
You are trying to force the door, you nosy prick!
Easy, sir, all right? Put down the axe.
You know what we do with rubble like you? We gut them. Dump them into the ocean.
Where is the cop?
You're Mr. Winchester. Lower that axe. Let's talk calmly.
I got your cop friend
I'll
over
show
there.
You how we have it out on dark water.
You haven't forgiven yourself. You stay here to honor the memory of the
That's
deceased.
not what I meant.
That's true. I want no more violence. No more tragedy.
Okay, never mind. That
It's
was apparently a
painful
good
to be
option.
the last one left.
You don't know how right you are.
Also,
Understood.
down because he's kind of loud.
I'm listening.
The police report describes a domestic accident, but Stephen Webster has several reasons to believe that this may not be the case.
Webster is as stubborn as an old mule. And I did tell him that we should let the dead rest in peace.
He wants to restore the reputation of his daughter. I just need to see where the fire started.
No, I can't let you in. The mansion isn't safe.
That's why you barricaded the entrance.
That's right.
And this door?
It's locked, and I make sure it stays that way.
Silas, I want in.
The sooner I carry out
me?
my investigation, the sooner I wrap up the case and return to Boston. After which, you'll never hear of me again.
I like the sound of that, but I have a better idea. You leave right now, and you never come back.
Silas! Pierce!
Oh, thank God.
What are you doing?
Officer Bradley, this hood was trying to break into the mansion.
Do something, Bradley, or this story will have a nasty ending.
And now they're
I
very
vouch for him,
quiet.
Silas. He's working with us. We have reason to believe that someone entered the mansion and stole some paintings.
Impossible. I would have seen it.
Better safe than sorry. Now let us in. I promise to keep an eye on this one.
Okay, then. I'll leave the key with you. You could have told me that earlier, Sonny.
Let's see what more
I didn't have the option to. I didn't get. No one gave. There was. telling the man I'm working with the cop wasn't an option.
This gate is locked.
I kind of wish I was a little more free to explore without constantly being interrupted, but that's okay. Right? Like, listen, I'm sorry that some important information left my brain when you tried to do a murder on me. Consider. Another axe. How many axes does Silas own? This seems excessive. Okay, hold on. What's over? Nothing. Absolutely nothing is over here. Can I break into Silas's hut?
The poor wretch seems to spend the best part of his time isolated from the world.
One for each visitor. One for each hand. Double accent. Please. I'll do it though. Hey Silas, why you got so many axes? I can just look in? I can't do anything? Just looking in? Just peeking. Okay. That's cool. I guess. Sure. I would like to get in there though. Also, our run, incredibly slow. Like, barely any different from our walk.
Pierce,
Brad,
shall we enter?
in a minute. I wanna look around. Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. I do understand, but also, I want to explore and look around. I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna keep looking around, making bad choices, and we'll just see how it... Burp. We'll go from there. Oh, investigate. Investigate.
Flowers on Sarah Hawkins' grave are fresh. The old caretaker must be very attached to her.
Okay, but do the others also have? I regret not coming over here.
Charles Hawkins' grave.
Right?
Who could have done this?
I told you. Silas Winchester is still watching over the Hawkins family.
I must say, it's pretty gloomy.
Okay, but...
So, Detective, does this place inspire any thoughts?
Is the caretaker still around? Evidence here suggests he is.
It's surprising indeed. Let's try to keep our eyes open.
Why were they buried here?
I was given to believe that it was Charles Hawkins' wish.
Strange idea. I imagine Webster wasn't too pleased.
Mrs. Hawkins' father? It's said that he's devastated.
Let's go.
Okay, I've seen enough.
Please give me a minute. I didn't expect to set foot back here after the burial. What kind of deranged individual would defile this sanctuary and steal a burnt painting? I don't see Silas doing such a thing.
But what if it was Silas? Consider. Consider.
Have pity on this poor family.
Consider that it was Silas. Is that
poor kid?
All we have to say about Simon dying?
Now that you finish your fun and games with Silas, we can perhaps inspect the mansion.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's
go. What is this? What is happening over here? Oh, it's leaves. It's leaves blowing. I understand. Okay, I guess we will go into the mansion. Shall we go? Where did Silas go, though? Did he go inside? I like how there was captions there, but Bradley wasn't here.
Let's take a look inside.
He's not here! Oopsies! Pearson Officer Bradley explored the gardens of the Hawkins Mansion. The family lies in the graveyard of the property, guarded by Silas Winchester. The old caretaker, still faithful to his employers, keeps watch on the place, armed with his axe. Pearson Bradley managed to calm him down and finally get hold of the key to the Hawkins Mansion. They entered the building looking for the scene of the fire. Spooky shadow.
Follow me. I know the place.
Yeah, okay.
Who left this light on?
It's probably Silas. Listen. Also,
the Last Supper of the Hawkins.
What is that?
This tell me?
What is that?
What kind of meat is this?
That's what I'm asking. It's Cthulhu meat, isn't it?
This place is for the head of the family, Charles Hawkins.
Not the forbidden spam. Bad spam. Get it out of here. That's definitely some, like, fish person meat. Meat to the fish person. Squid pig. Squig. Quid. These are all bad, and I'm sorry.
The boy was probably here.
Not the
Smashed his
delicious
plate on the
sea
floor.
pork. Wow. Eat your squid pig, kid. Oh, gummies. Oh, gummies. Oh, those are gummies. We have found the gummies. We are an hour and a half into the game, and I have found gummies. Can I? There's no good way to do it. It's just here. I want to get a screenshot of them, but it won't let me. Oh. Kid, you keep phasing in and out of existence too much, and you lose your gummies when you do that. Hold on. Where are they? Show me the gummies. There they are. I think I got them.
Sarah Hawkins didn't eat. Was it because of the meat or something else? Something happened at this table. An argument?
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that I am still able to find gummies. Speaking of...
Working.
We do still have that community challenge
This dinner
up.
table tells us
If
a
people
lot
want to
about the
do a gummy
Hawkins
hunt in Elden Ring.
Well, we don't have all day. The scene of the fire is next door.
Okay. Excuse. What is this?
Sarah Hawkins and little
Thank you
Simon.
for the contribution, Jesse.
Perfect picture
Also,
of
thank you
the
for the hydrate,
middle-class family.
Alice. You did throw all your points at it already, Fruity. You did what you were supposed to. Thank you, Voss, for the hydrate. Everyone else also, hydrate if you haven't recently. It's important. And thank you for the contribution to the gummy hunt, Voss. I am dang excited to do some gummy hunting with folks.
Charles Hawkins
Too many
some kind of
points.
explorer?
That's too many points, Rudy. Listen. Charles Hawkins poses like an explorer in front of exotic ruins. It's just common knowledge that he wasted away his fortune on expensive trips. What was he looking for?
Charles and Sarah's wedding was painted by Sarah herself.
He's very large. Very wide.
Let's see if I can find something the cops missed.
Alright. It's looking time. Also, we should probably take a break sometime soon, because I gotta use the restroom. Oh!
The child's corpse left a trace. Where are the others?
What is this?
Was Charles Hawkins a heavy drinker?
Charles.
If the painting I found on the docks really came from here, how come it didn't burn?
Magic painting.
They had a fight. Why?
Why does anyone have a fight? I see his gummies. Or are they too tall? They might be too tall. I see hers! She's got eyeballs on the back of her eyeballs. Those are eyeballs on the back of her eyeballs. Gotta get a screenshot. There they are. There they are. Very excited about finding gummies. Is anyone surprised? There!
Did Sarah Hawkins lose one of her shoes? How?
Dang. What else am I missing? Can I go out here? Oh, here.
Did someone escape the fire?
Booty. Cakes. Okay, we looked at that. We looked at that. Because I can continue to look out here. Never mind. I cannot. Actually. Ah!
Did it stop at the time of the fire?
There we go. There we go.
Blood. This lamp was thrown. This was no accident. This was a fight.
She set the man on fire? Dang.
Someone fell here.
Right? Don't gotta worry about it at all.
A desperate attempt
Thank
to
goodness. I would rather not have to worry about fuel for our lighter. How was this missed?
And the boy.
Oh.
So, Detective, what do you make of it?
I don't like him coming at me like that. It's official. The police botched this investigation.
Should turn in their badges. This room is bursting with evidence that seriously contradicts the official inquiry.
Well, of course, Mr. Holmes. Like what?
Someone had too much to drink.
I found a bottle of whiskey. Empty.
Well, that must have been a loss for you.
No glass. I suspect one of them drank heavily to calm down. Charles, most probably.
That's pretty thin. Who says that bottle hadn't been there for a while?
Bodies were displaced.
I can tell where young Simon was, but not his parents. Where were their bodies found?
I can't help you on that one. Charles and Sarah's bodies had already been carried away when I got here.
Without your authorization? By whom?
Marshall, Andrews, Chief West. We never deal with cases like that, you know. So... well...
So you fucked up.
It would seem at least one person fled the crime scene.
What'd you say?
That mark on the door. Someone's hand slid down there. The left side has no mark. The door was open and that someone left.
For God's sake. I mean, if it's Charles or Sarah, they wouldn't have left their son.
They would rather die in the flames
so
as a
wiggly.
family instead of calling for help? I don't buy it.
Oh, yeah?
Fire wasn't just an
believe
accident.
This fire was more than just an accident.
Huh. What's your theory?
I don't know.
I think the Hawkins couple got into a fight.
You sure of that?
There's only one way to be sure.
I do wish that, like, there was more of an identifier to, like, show which options are, like, locking you into something. I mean,
just ask
sometimes
that you don't disturb anything.
sometimes it's kind of obvious which ones are the, like, the final choices or whatever, but some of them haven't been particularly obvious.
This door is locked.
Yeah. It's fine, we can work with it. But, I don't know. This collection of medical knowledge and health practices in the 18th century actually only covers the so-called civilized countries. It does not deal with the influence of holistic medicines or medicine from continents considered inferior. Terrible. Horrible. Okay, actually, I think we're gonna pause right here so that I can go use the restroom real fast. And maybe grab a snack. No yawns. But yeah, we'll take a quick couple-minute break. I'll have some words on stream up for y'all to do and mess with. And also probably take this time to also take a break, get some food, stretch, get some water, do whatever you gotta do. So yeah, BRB. I didn't need to be gone that long, actually. I've eaten a cracker. I've eaten a couple of crackers. I've gone to the bathroom. I got water. I got soda. We're ready. I'm ready, at least. Yeah. 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 Sorry, I've got a bunch of nonsense on my phone. Let's do the thing. Let's keep doing the thing. Oh.
These bandages are covered in dried blood. But whose?
Whoever escaped the house! The same person in the warehouse! Listen. Hi. There's cats everywhere on the floor over
The
here.
lyrics of the drunken sailor. A sea shanty.
Is that important? To have those lyrics? Is this? Yeah. True. Okay, sorry, I don't...
This piano is in disrepair.
Brain just said, no,
Looks
we're
like
done
the
now.
Hawkins kept it more for decoration than for music.
Thunder, please. Alright, what are you doing, Copper? For a house that caught on fire, a lot of it seems to be fine.
What do you know about Charles Hawkins' activities?
Well, not much, to be honest. We all assumed the Hawkins lived on Charles's inheritance. If you're right, we should be able to find clues among the Hawkins' personal effects.
Okay. How do I put this away? Also, why are these all so melty? A precise and very detailed treatise on the particularities of the human body compared to the animal world. Simplicity of its writing and the vulgarization of its vocabulary make it acceptable to the profane. Look at us doing so good with medicine. I just wanna... Okay. Only can be only improved by things that I discover in the world. Okay, I understand. Psychology represents your knowledge of human behavior. Improving the skill increases your chances of understanding the motivations of a person based on his or her behavior. Okay. That would probably be good to have. Let's do that! Perfect! Probably should have just, like, dumped every single skill point I had into it, but you know what? We're going for it.
There's something disturbing about this painting.
Okay. Whatever you say, buddy.
20,000 leagues under the sea. Another story about the mysteries of the deep.
A rare edition of Jules Verne's novel. Can't open that up. The little icon says that there's something hidden here. I don't know about that.
There's something disturbing about this painting.
No one else was using it? Listen. Books gotta be put to use. We're gonna put the book to use. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. My little hidden object icon keeps showing up. Or was showing up at least.
A book on hunting whales. The island's staple
fine.
diet last century.
I would like a library this big, please. Please and thank you. Oh, now you put it away. It finally got too hot.
History. This place was settled back in 1692 by two families that seceded from the New England colonies.
Alright, that's fine. That's fair. Ebooks are great. They're great means of, like, keeping as many books as you want. I have an issue. I have a hard time reading ebooks. There's something about
Greek mythology.
Digital medium that just
Goddess of the dead.
doesn't
Daughter of Tartarus.
translate well for me.
And mother of Scylla.
So I do exclusively have hard covers, but I wish that I could do Kindles or ebooks in general. I know that there's I don't know, I think it's a tactile thing for me. I don't necessarily think it is, like, necessarily because it's in a digital format. Saimu!
Just realize I had this laying around, so here.
Thank you for the Prime sub, friend!
What could Sarah have
Too
done to make this
nice.
person threaten to call the police?
Too nice. Thank you, pal. Enjoy your emotes. Dear sir, as you know, I have always held you and your family in high respect. Unfortunately, I can no longer continue to close my eyes on the behavior of your wife. Last week, she, again, terrified my clientele. I know that she means no harm, but you should place her in the care of Dr. Fuller. He alone seems able to make her come to her senses. If these disturbances were to recur, believe me that although it would feel like torture, I would be obliged to involve the police. Respectfully yours, Anton Wellard. Does it? Hold on. Oh my god, you're right. It's a click. Mouse wheel click. I haven't been clicking it this entire time. He's just, like, pulled it out every so often and was like, I'm gonna use this now. Thank you. I have heard that, like, the e-ink is easier than, like, a full digital. I don't necessarily want to purchase one just to find out it doesn't work for me. I think I've got a couple of friends who have e-ink, though, so I might have to see if that helps. Look at those good emotes! Seriously, thank you, Saimu. This noise! Key that opens the door to Sarah Hawkins' office was concealed! Not from me, it wasn't.
What will her room reveal about her?
Okay, what do we got? It is incredibly dark in here. Book! Sarah Hawkins' sketches look more like a gallery of horrors than anatomical studies. Do they represent what haunts her nights? Mayor Emmy did the art for my new emo, as well as the little octos. They're super talented, and I think I know she takes commissions, but I don't know if their commissions are open at the moment. But I should be getting a whole
barbiturates. Sarah Hawkins must have been extremely agitated.
A whole array of new face emotes sometimes. Ooh. Yeah, I definitely need to try the e-ink. Do it! Update your emotes!
A barbiturate.
Emmy's been real dang busy lately. But yeah, she does all my emote artwork. Anything that's not like screenshots that I've edited. Like the Kayshurrr pork. And I guess the follower emotes are ones that I've done, but all of the drawn stuff are things that they've done for me. That makes sense. Hopefully soon, though, Saimu. Alright, Dr. Thomas Fuller, Riverside Institute, Darkwater, Massachusetts. 7/21/24. 75 milligrams of amobarbitol. Sorry. Amobarbitol sodium to be taken every 4 to 6 hours as required. If attacks become too violent, add 25 milligrams of phenobarbital up to 3 times a day. Do not consume alcohol or any other medication during the period of treatment. Dr. Thomas Fuller.
That's a massive dose.
Yeah, it is.
Was Sarah violent?
Is there anything else in here? Kind of already looked over here, haven't I? Okay, Doop. Open it up. Wait!
This padlock is too complicated for me.
Okay, well, I assumed that that was her office, but it's not, so maybe we come back to that in a bit. Why are these rooms so dark?
The boys' room.
Oh. I like these ideas. I like these options. You got this. You got this. Like I said, I hope you can do that sometime soon, Saimu.
A child's fort. From what threat was Simon protecting his world?
I am good at making cursed emotes. Or cursed thumbnails, really. Technically. More sleeping pills. And that's about it. That's the extent of my artistic ability. Are we gonna talk about these about these pictures on this kid's wall?
Mark Twain. Sarah must have read it to him before bed.
Okay.
Sleeping
Medicine.
pills. Strong for an 11-year-old boy. What was wrong with this family?
Devil Goat is very good. Just the one crow, actually. I like your little owl, though. The one that you already have. But changing things up is good sometimes. Get it. I'm here for it. I support this. Can I look at these now? Great.
What nightmarish vision could have inspired them? Simon's troubles went beyond family problems. That kid saw something. Something terrified him.
Can I see her gummies? No. No gummies here. Okay, can I do anything? Look, I like crows, okay? That is Sarah's room? That's Sarah's room. This is the door that I want to unlock. Okay.
The door is blocked on the other side.
That makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta touch up what you've already done. I get that.
Despite what happened, they seem to have loved each other.
Charles Hawkins scribbled a kind word to his wife. Fate brought us together, and forever it will bind us. Also, I know that we've got all this. I will address that. I just... I'm looking at other things first. Oh, hi! You wanna come here? Mama? Don't just yell at me. Hey! Hi, Devo. Anything in there? No. Anything
This
in there?
ledger lists all of the paintings Sarah Hawkins sold.
Dang. Kitten. No, she says I'm eating now. Don't talk to me. JF, FS. FS is exhibition. Well, come here. Yeah. Come on. Hi. You come here. It's a llama. Hi. Why are we yelling? Hmm? You good? You wanna sit in my lap? It's the baby. She'll always come and say hello. Yeah, she just wants to be pet. I understand. You can sit on my lap. I'll pet you every so often. Stop putting fur on my face, though. Okay? Okay. Lamia
Seems
says
the
pay
last
attention
one was
to
given
me.
for free to a Francis Sanders. I wonder why.
Kitten. Hello.
Sarah Hawkins' agent was getting worried. Seems she wasn't giving any signs of life.
Alright. My very dear Sarah. Ever since you left to bury yourself away on that lost island, your art has been attracting increasing numbers of collectors. I beg you to send me some new paintings. The last ones, so somber and strange, moving as no other paintings have been, are selling at a premium price. A percentage of these most recent sales is attached. Do not forget your friend, who was the first to recognize your genius and display it to the world. Affectionately yours, Maximilian L. Mama. Sorry, she's just like repeatedly headbutting my arm. She says, pay attention.
Was Sarah Hawkins interested in the occult?
Hey.
Looks like a revocation ritual. Was she trying to invoke something or banish it?
It's a good question. Buddy. Listen.
Bradley? Is that you?
Hello? Where did Bradley go? Bradley! Hello?
There.
It was cool enough last night that Lamia slept with me, and it was very nice. Oh, we got the purrs going right now. Happy cat. But that's us. Excuse you, sir.
You! Stop!
We've got a lamp now. Oh, I can jump. Oh, I've done it bad.
Bradley, did you see which way he went?
Who? I didn't see anyone. I
Of
just
course
heard
you
some
didn't.
noise. Are you all right?
A man was hiding on the upper level. He ran when he saw me. He can't be far.
Or he can. Oh no. Sorry, this has oil.
I'll cover you.
There's an oil gauge.
This door was closed earlier.
Okay, but before we get there, I just want to check for things. I will probably be using the lighter pretty regularly. until I know how often we get
like
oil.
An old Seaway Map.
Somebody's added coordinates to this old sea map. They make up a journey. Coordinates usually do.
Do you
They
really
look
think
like
that your
Celtic
fugitive
runes.
came in here?
Charles must
I
have
don't
brought
see
them
any way
back
out.
from one of his foreign trips.
There is a lot of talking happening.
Clearly, Charles Hawkins knew Captain Fitzroy very well.
In this photograph, Charles Hawkins and Captain Fitzroy are posing with the third man. They seem
I
close.
wonder who the man with the glasses is in the photograph. Probably another friend of Hawkins. As if the bookcase has been moved several times.
I wonder. Oh no.
This globe seems to have been part of some mechanism.
Oh no.
Doesn't work. Seems like this came from a log.
Okay. 42 north, 70 west. Oh no. West. Darkwater Island. We sailed north all morning. Captain Hamilton is confident. He says that we'll beat the Orpheus this season. May God be merciful. 47 north, 55 west. I am writing these down so I don't have to keep bouncing back between them. I mean, this is this is the curse of being a gamer. You're just afraid that you'll have a better time to use specific items and then you just don't use them at all during a game. I mean, I do that too, honestly. I just want to like know how much oil we get and how often we get it before I like fully commit to using the lantern. Yeah. I preferred it when the whales disappeared without trace. With these carcasses, we can no longer ignore their sad fate. What is eating these huge beasts? I told Hamilton that it was a bad omen. He doesn't care. 49 north, 61 west. We dropped anchor near a village. The inhabitants say that the waters are red with the blood of the sacred beasts, and to follow them is to defy the gods. I told them that I only feared God Almighty, but in the loneliness of the hold, I'm scared. 57 north. Hi. 51 west. We've sighted a huge whale in the distance. Its size seems to be beyond anything known to man. It sends out an infernal song. Hamilton wants it. 33 north, 53 west. We've caught it! It's the most grotesque whale I've ever laid eyes upon. It will go into memory as the biggest catch ever. Men have died, but we have gained glory. This day will be celebrated for years to come. Darkwater. We have beaten the Orpheus, returned with empty holds. The Sela and Hamilton are only memories. Okay, hold on. We did it.
There must be a link with the Seaway Map. Looks like the navigational paths described in the log.
Okay, so 42 north. 70 is here. It's Darkwater. Where am I supposed to go then? 47 north, 55, it goes here. So this is the path that they followed for the beast, right? Is it? This is horrible and I hate this.
The Scylla. It's the boat that was stranded at the entrance to the harbor.
Okay.
It looks like a freehand map of Darkwater. Certain areas have been highlighted. I wonder why.
This is a terrible map, let me tell ya. Here? I don't understand. Like, I get what they
Looks
want.
like the
I kind of
navigational
get what they want me to
paths
do.
described
Hold on,
in the
hold
log.
on. What is this? What is this? Oil refilled.
Looks like the navigational paths described in the log.
I see. But they want... I would assume they want me to do the Sela, right? Okay, let's... 47... 55... I don't know how to do any of this, let me tell you. Like, here?
Doesn't work. I must have missed something.
That's approximately where Darkwater is. Yeah, help.
Have you seen the old Maritime Maps on Charles Hawkins' desk?
Strange. No ship has left Darkwater shore for years. Maybe he kept them for sentimental reasons.
That is unhelpful. I don't know why I thought this man was gonna assist me with anything. Like here, maybe?
Doesn't work. I must have missed something. Looks like the navigational paths described in the log.
Is it the 5751, maybe? Like where they found the beast? That is true. And somebody did try to fight us, and he was not there to act as a human meat shield, and that was incredibly disappointing. Okay, hold on. 51? Look, I see where 60 is on here, right? This doesn't help. Oh, no. There they are. I found the coordinates. I'm just an idiot. Okay, so like 5751 would be like here. No.
Doesn't work. I must have missed something.
3353?
Looks like it worked.
I did it.
Well done, Pierce.
It's where they caught the beast. It's just a little weird because I can't be that precise on a map. Bookcase did poop. It went poop. Sorry, Lamia's being very precious right now. Good sweet girl. Oh. Nice.
Secret passage.
I don't think my
under
strength
the
is
manor.
high enough,
Like a
honestly.
detective novel.
I do like, again, I do like that there are like
Yeah.
different solutions
And he had
for,
a direct means of entry
for
to the
the
contrary
things.
seats.
I have interrupted the conversation, that's fine. That's cool.
Look. Someone's been here recently.
Yeah. Guy, I am aware. This fucking dude.
A disfigured saint. What does it mean?
It means spooky things. What am I recreating?
A disfigured saint.
No.
What does it mean?
What? Why would you punch the cat? I can't say that. I have been known to punch animals in video games. What? How does that work, though? How am I supposed to recreate the scene? Oh! The woman! The woman named Cat. Okay. Sorry, I imagine you just, like, ran up to, like, a feline and punched. That makes so much more sense as to how that got you into the warehouse, compared to what I was thinking, so you know. Oh, jeez. I'm in the thing. I'm trying to recreate the scene and you're not letting me interact with anything. Right? Yeah, just a stray runs by and you're like, punch! Speaking of, I have to cross my legs differently, and Lamia needs to move just a little bit. You can stay here, kitten, but I needed you to scoot just a little.
Did
Okay.
Charles Hawkins use this
Yeah.
place? Who were the others?
The Faceless Men.
What is this mask supposed to represent?
It's the sea pig. Squid pig.
Whatever Charles
you hopping
Hawkins
down?
hid here, he didn't want it
Okay.
in his house.
Lamia says, I'm gone now. It's like, alright. Bye, cat. I love you. Okay, can I... What else? What is there to look at? I wish that these were a little easier. Not easier. Just a little more obvious. There we go.
This piece of cloth is unmistakably from a dress. Sarah Hawkins. Was she hiding from someone?
Bruh, I think she was spying, actually. I think what you're trying to figure, or what you're trying to put together is she was spying on someone. This just stays up anytime there's a hidden object around, right? Even if I have interacted with it. That's a little frustrating. Okay, up here, maybe? Oh,
Whoever
this.
was sitting here could have seen Sarah Hawkins. Could this be related to her death?
Okay, I understand. Travis, thank you for the contribution to the gummy hunt. Thanks.
This symbol. What does it mean?
Series of studies on an unknown symbol. Do we have any more points that I can spend? We do have points. I have one more point available. Let's go. We're just gonna be very high on the psychological side of things. Weird and psych tends to be what I do on my first playthrough of games. Just want to be a cultist weirdo. Move, move, cop, move. This seems incredibly precariously built. Like,
Of course.
hey.
And something tells me that the key is climbing these steps. There's tunnels all over this island. Given the size of this cave, there's gotta be other entrances.
The passage continues further down. Might as well start with that.
Okay.
I
you
ain't
gonna give up on us?
squeeze in there. I'll find another way.
Okay,
If possible,
bye.
I prefer not to ruin my uniform.
Yeah, you can just say you're
Fine,
scared.
Fine. We'll look for another entrance.
You just
I'll
tell me you
try
don't
my
want to be
luck
here.
down below.
My goodness. We're really just jumping in the water, huh? Despite getting attacked by a squid earlier. That seems fine. What could possibly go wrong? This is fine. This is fine! Oh, jeez. That's... Even if that were true, we're definitely not in the same place
These
as we were
paintings must be
before.
several centuries old.
That doesn't help. Oh, jeez. Look at Monster. I like Monster. Whoa, look at Monster. I like Monster. Yeah, alright, Fruity.
These people lying down. Are they dead? Are they asleep?
They're just sleeping. They take nap right here. Can we comment on the big statue of the monster? No? Okay. It's all great and fine and normal and okay and definitely not a problem. We're not worried. Hello? Okay. Hey, had man just stayed here, I could've... Never mind, I couldn't have let him in. I thought I was gonna unlock that. That's not true. That's not the case. Okay,
Time has weakened these structures.
Yeah, no shit. It's wet and damp and horrible down here. I am fully waiting for these things to just collapse on us. Alright. They probably want me to go up there.
I don't have time to search them all.
Why give me the option to search at all?
This oil again. What is it used for?
Oil things. I like these bottles. Goop! We have found the goop! We like goop. Okay. Goop. If Goobert is here, I would be very happy. The pain is unbearable. I love Goobert. Alright, where's the rhythmic huffing?
Piers! Keep your voice down. We're not alone.
This is tiptoeing!
What have you got me into?
We'll see. I'll go on. Try to go down on your side.
Yeah, there's a passage. I'll meet you at the bottom.
Yeah, okay. Don't get killed. Or do. I mean, I don't care. Just keep your body in a convenient place. I might need it to block bullets later. This seems fine. What are they doing down there? Yeah, right? Die somewhere where we can pick up your loot, please. What are they doing? Okay. Listen. It me!
grave.
Meat hole. I probably shouldn't have looked at this just yet. Oh well. I'm gonna get pushed into meat hole. I'm going to push me into meat hole. Terrible.
I gotta.
Hey, it's how the game started.
Breathe.
Imagine how stinky this would smell. Oh. Oh, 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 oh. It's fine. It's fine. We got down a meat hole.
Is it my turn?
Yes. It is time. You will soon be one of us, if your body and mind are ready.
I dream of it every night. I have constant visions. I am ready.
Uh-oh.
Good enough. Prove it to us.
Uh-oh.
It's like in my dream.
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
It seems to have been used recently. Probably some sort of ritual.
I found this dagger in the tunnels under Hawkins Manor. Its owner left it behind when he went to, with the other haunted men, is what it says. Not the haunted men.
Pre-classical Latin? Let's see what it says. What is this awakening they talk about? And this sacred flesh?
It's the miraculous catch. Come on, keep up. Edward, do better. Is there anything down here for me? Just dirty water and a bunch of boxes that I can't do anything with. Understood. Come on, there's gotta be some goodies. Something I can learn. No. They can see you here, buddy.
You who sleeps, accept this dream under your immortal wing.
Ya Cthulhu Nithsiha Fitag.
Grant him your flesh and
I feel him.
I don't know that I should be down here.
Gifted indeed. Not another word. Let him pass through every part of you.
Sir.
We pray for your return into the kingdom of the earth.
Uh-oh.
Stelbisna Cthulhu Kashok.
Well, this isn't great. This is less than ideal.
Locked.
Meat hole. I know where that is. Okay, maybe I do go this way. No one noticed me. Right? Let the sleepy boy sleep. We don't like people who wake others up. Let Cthulhu sleep. It's incredibly rude that everyone is always trying to wake him up. Give the buddy a break. Okay. Is there nothing in there? Just bad things in there.
More sacred flesh.
Oh! Oh! Have they considered that he's dreaming of bad realities because we keep trying to wake him up?
This ritual killed him. Where's the sense in that?
He needs all of the rest that he can get. See, it's one of those, like, if we just let him sleep properly, maybe our reality would get better.
We are ready for the ceremony. What about your protege?
Oh! I literally just walked in front of that man, and he didn't even notice. Oh. Wouldn't even be mad at him for it, honestly. Like, we're the ones who have the audacity to try and wake him up. And it's not like Cthulhu told us to wake him up at a specific time or anything, so we're just a bad alarm clock. Hit snooze. Do it, buddy. I support you in this. Oh.
I saw two odd-looking guys coming down. Seemed up to no good.
What do you mean? What is he doing here? We invited him here.
What in the world is this?
An intruder!
Oh, shit. Don't move! Police! Don't move!
Well,
I won't hesitate.
Bradley, get back! Get back!
We did want to meet Shield.
You asked for it.
Oh, that face, though.
Charles, you shouldn't have seen this.
I mean, it's fine. Oh, maybe it's not fine. Maybe it's not fine, actually. I'm not doing anything. This is all just happening.
Caving in. I need to get out of
I'm
here.
doing a thing now. Well, of course it was Charles. Oh no. Oh no. Everything is so shaky and I don't like it. This is making my brain hurt. I don't know where I was supposed to go. No, it's fine.
My leg.
My legs are gone! Didn't have legs to begin with, it's fine. Also, not the birds chirping at his window at 6 in the morning. Horrible, terrible birds. We are but a nuisance. My leg! Dead cultist. Where am I going? And can I stop seeing things like this? Bad filter.
Light. At last.
It's not been that long, buddy. I don't like that. Oh, jeez. Pierce and Officer Bradley follow the intruder to the secret meeting place of a cult set in a network of underground caves right under the Hawkins banner! They witness a strange ceremony led by a Charles Hawkins, very much alive. Bradley tried to arrest him, but Hawkins, whose body displayed various mutations, disemboweled the police officer. As he tried to escape from him, Pierce found himself prisoner of a rockfall. Rushed to the Riverside Institute. He is in a critical state. Got a case of the wiggles. I don't like it when my eyes have a case of the wiggles, though. They shouldn't do that. Just, generally speaking. Oh, jeez. Jeez. What are you shooting me with? Don't put random shit in my body.
He will survive. A strong subject.
This isn't great. She had an octopus face for a second.
I can't get up.
Don't move, Pierce. You can certainly say that you gave us a scare.
What did you do to me? Undo these straps.
Whoa, go easy, my friend.
I'm not your friend.
Oh, Dad, he killed you.
Are you sure he's better?
He was dead. Me too. We were dead. What are you doing?
I'm sorry, my friend.
What? No.
Okay. Things are happening. Things are indeed occurring.
What happened?
Oh no.
Where am I?
Mr. Sanders, you have to come with us.
No, please. I can't leave here.
It is a Simu.
You got no choice, Sanders, and neither do we.
You don't understand. If I go out, he'll see me. No, no!
You're leaving this cell.
Please. I don't want him to find me.
Oh, dang. Can I leave? I would like to go now. That.
This foul gas again.
No, wait, no, don't wait. No, don't wait. Don't do that. Okay, maybe I do wait, actually, because I don't know that I can do anything else. Can I want to stop the gas. No toots for us. Okay, maybe I do wait. What's going on here? Oh, we're wiggly. Oh god, that's worse. Okay. This is too wiggly, and I don't like it.
No sea is dark enough to hide the color of my blood. No wind strong enough to scatter my dreams.
Alright, Leviathan, calm down.
When the last of them rises up, you will choose. I will not be here to bear witness to it, because you will have released me. But the earth will resound to your cries, or theirs.
I'm just glad the screen isn't wiggling as much as it was before. So many bird puns.
You there. Wake up. Come on, stand up.
Hello?
We don't have much time.
Lady.
Can you stand up?
Who are you?
I mean, I'm
A
standing.
friend of Ethan Bradley. It was he who told me that you had been interned here.
Wait. Bradley is really alive? I don't understand. You filled me so full of drugs I can't distinguish dream from reality.
Please believe that I have nothing to do with these disgraceful treatments. Look, I don't have time to explain everything. I'm not really supposed to be here.
Okay, then
and
let's
the same
go.
goes for you, according to Ethan. You must leave as soon as possible, and as unobtrusively as possible. I've
Okay,
brought
let's
you your
go.
clothes. Let me go ahead. We'll meet upstairs.
Okay, let's go.
Wait a minute.
No, Edward, it's fine. Let's go.
I saw the nurses at work on a patient. It wouldn't be good for me to get caught.
You must avoid them at all costs. If someone found out that I released you from your room, I'd never find work in a hospital again.
So nice of you to worry about me like that.
Edward!
Do not be unpleasant, Mr. Pierce. We must not stay here. There are 2 men standing guard near the stairs. It's the only way to the floor above. I shall try to distract them, and get at least one to come with me. All you need to do is to follow me as soon as the way is free.
Okay,
Understood.
let's go. Let's go. Let's go, lady. Okay.
What does
Anything
this
in here
mean?
for me, though? I want to hurry up and leave, but also let me hang out in here. See what's going on.
What did they inject him with? Am I in an asylum?
Yes. Yes. Gummies. They're gummies. I found them. You cannot hide them from me.
What did he write about the painting?
Here.
In his eyes, this symbol must have some protective virtues. Sarah.
Is there anything else I can look at? There.
Sarah Hawkins is on this list of authorized visitors.
Okay, so who is this man? Nothing? You got nothing for me, buddy? Alright, okay. That's fine, I guess. Oh, yikes. I would like to break into every single one of these rooms. Thank you.
If I don't get out of here, I'll end up like him.
Okay, well...
Poor wretch.
I'm just hoping that, like, literally any of these would have been unlocked. That is not the case. Unfortunate. Ew.
Dr. Colden, I would like to say that I'm surprised to see you, but we all know that your curiosity will be your ruin.
I don't understand. These people need care. You keep them in this terrible place as if...
Go back upstairs where your patients are waiting for you to treat them. As for you, gentlemen, do not disappoint me anymore. No one enters or leaves.
Yes, Doctor.
Yikes. We're enemy suspects your presence, a white marker appears. This marker changes to red if the enemy chases you. Oh no. Oh no.
The machine is working again, but the control wheels haven't been put back on.
I was just going to the storage room. I can bring them to you.
No, Dr. Fuller doesn't want us touching the pressure
This is horrible.
I'm gonna see if there's sleeping pills left. They've run out again upstairs.
Locked.
A few aside for me, will you?
Ah!
Above all, leave the wheels where they
I
are.
don't like stealth. I don't like stealth.
You there, come here.
What?
What do you want?
Sleep. That's all.
Sleep? You don't want to leave?
No. Have you seen the storm that's brewing? I'm fine here. Except for one problem.
You want sleeping pills, right?
Yeah. And in exchange, I can make noise. Lots of noise.
I got some
You'll
sleeping
draw
pills
the
for you,
guards
buddy.
to your cell to allow me to escape.
So, you in? Find something to make me sleep, and I'll take care of the guards for
Hey,
you.
I got you, bud. Tell me
Is
about
it
your
the
sleeping
noise
problems.
that disturbs you?
No, it's the nightmares. We all have them here. That's what wakes us up. And afterwards, there's no way to get back to sleep.
I'll
Right,
find
it's a
you
deal.
some pills.
Go look in the storage room. There must be sleeping pills there. So, have you got them?
Not yet.
But-
Hurry up if you don't want them to find you.
But I guess they would have taken all my stuff from me, wouldn't they?
What is
Okay. Okay.
Roars and swells and has strength of oceans.
Oh, that's a man. That's a man right there.
Of white nourishing foam. He is my master. He enters me.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I brought pills with me from... What is this?
I bet there's no longer any priests on Darkwater.
Found this rosary in one of the cells in the cellars of the Riverside Institute. Representation of the Virgin looks like nothing I've ever seen. Oh, 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 oh. Oh.
I think I got the right date. My calculations are always right.
Is he coming this way?
Dates?
Yeah, he is.
That's the problem. I don't know what this date is. But the calculations, they're right. 4 days, maximum. 5 at the most.
Get out of here, guy. Okay, he said that... Storage. I gotta go to storage. Archives? Hello? Yeah, I'm not
Dementia?
a huge fan of
Self-inflicted
forced stealth. Document attesting to the fact that Irene Sanders, wife of Francis Sanders, had her husband interned after he'd shown grave signs of madness.
Sarah Hawkins. She was a patient here.
Sarah Hawkins was interred at Riverside for fits of insanity a while before her death. She was under at her first attempt with the fire at the mansion. Ooh. What is this? Oh. Oh, no. I don't like that. Oh, okay. There's nothing else in here that I want or need. But yeah, stealth segments are just not great. I don't like them.
Good God. What could this machine be used for?
Like, I like stealthing in video games, but I like it to be my choice. Oh.
The corpse is complete. Whose are these limbs? Is there a connection between this corpse and the machine?
Cockroach. Man's eyes are a little funky. I'm sure it's fine. Nothing to be worried about. According to his record, the patient seems to be suffering from psychosis. He gouged his own eyes out in an attack of delirium. Well, what are we
Vats of
having here?
rotten flesh? An elaborate electrical system? Like a dumb pulp novel. What's the connection between this meat and the electrical installation?
Meat.
Worse and worse.
I'm sure it's fine, actually. It seems like it's pretty normal to be injecting goop into people.
This machine seems to consume a great deal of electricity. What will happen if I increase the current to the limit? I can still increase the load. It's an ammeter. I didn't expect to see one on this little rock. Have I activated anything?
Probably? Oh. No, get me out of here. No, get me out of here. Okay, maybe we don't get the man his sleeping pills, but we do increase the electricity and break a thing. Can guys stop screaming? No scream, man. There's the wire. No one sees anything. No one sees anything. I am the sneakiest.
It's locked.
Okay, well, unlock it. Please. Edward.
The green gas leaves from here and it runs through the whole building.
Oh, jeez.
Perfect.
Yeah, it seems like it's a bit, kind of a lot to just deal with.
It's done. Now for
We'll
the
get
others.
it. We'll do it. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be fine. Oh, no. Oh, this is horrible. How do I... Okay. Please. Hurry up and get out of there. I hated that.
The control wheel is missing.
Ugh. Open the door. Get me out of here. Is there... There's just so many things that you can do. We're gonna stick with the electricity thing. I understand how to do that. And I just have to follow the wires. back the way that we came. No one noticed anything. I'm not creeping around. Oh, the wibbling from earlier. From, like, the fake panic attack and running through the caves has given me a bit of a headache. Which is really annoying. Oh boy. Okay. Our other two wires go this way. Woo! Let's do
Theoretically,
that.
I've only got one lever to push.
Where is that man going? I would like him to continue to go the way that he's going so I can continue to follow him and not have to worry about him noticing me. Oh no. Well, this is a bit of a problem. Like, it sounds like he's falling asleep. But also... No, he's just whistling. He's gonna notice me if I go over here. Do I have to get the man his pills, don't I? Oh, goodness. Okay.
Exactly what I need.
We have to get in through the cafeteria, the kitchen, whatever we want to call it. But there's a man in there. Oh, jeez. No, we're not opening that one.
This padlock is too complicated for me.
I understand, buddy. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Unlock, please. Open, please. Oh my goodness. This is fine and okay.
I could use this control wheel to turn the valve I saw.
More medicine! Oh, where am I going? Storage. I want to be done with this. I have decided.
It's no use. The padlock won't give.
Well, use the...
It's no use. The padlock won't give.
Okay, never mind, I guess. Don't use the key that I stole or anything. That's fine. Oh!
Where do they keep their sleeping pills?
This is fine. Here?
Scopolamine, morphine, opium. Nothing but common drugs.
That's fine, we found
New
them.
friend's sleeping pills.
It's fine. He won't see me. I'm sneaky. Doesn't even know anything's going on. Ugh. Close that. Close that door. Close that door. Get that out of here. Okay, where's our buddy? Here, pal.
No. Not now.
What do you mean not now? He doesn't know where I am. We're fine.
I've got what you want.
Show me.
There. And remember, they don't come for free.
Don't you worry, you'll have your diversion. Go on now, go hide yourself. The crows, they're everywhere. Make them go away.
Go check it out, man. For a diversion, it's very quiet. Oh, jeez.
What?
I think that's something that you'll agree on. I love crows. Yeah, this is kind of not great. Kind of not good. Oh, jeez. Okay.
All the levers are activated.
This is great. We can leave now, right? Right? We can go? What's in here? More medicine stuff. Oh. Okay. Oh god, I'm gonna get spotted. I want to be done. This is so slow. Our man is slow enough as is. This is just making it worse. Get me out of here. Keep going, buddy. Keep going, pal. Oh my god. Get me out of here. Let's go.
That should draw the attention of the guards. I should hide.
Damn it. What's going on? Is there somebody? I'm gonna let Fuller know. Definitely must.
Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Keep going, buddy. Oh, jeez. What emotes? Where is I have distracted the dudes at the end of the hallway, right? Yes, thank God. Okay.
Damn.
Oh no. Oh, hey bud. It's pal, it's friend.
Doctor, is that you? Don't you worry about the doctor. Right now, he'll have plenty to keep him busy with his precious machine. It gives us time to get away. I'll undo you.
Get away? Get away where? I can't go anywhere. It'll find me, like it found me here. You're mistaken about the beast. Don't stay with me, or you'll end up the same way.
What is the exact nature of the beast you're
I'm
running
a professional occultist.
You've got instinct, a sensitivity for the invisible. It puts you in danger.
Of course
the
it
creature
does.
that's pursuing me is not from our world.
After what I've seen so far on this island, I'm ready to believe you.
Don't do that! Do not believe, or you'll end up like us all.
What happened to you, Sanders?
The real culprit is Sarah. Her and her accursed paintings.
You're kidding me. You're talking about Sarah Hawkins.
The one and only. The legendary. There is no artist more enlightened or cursed than Sarah Hawkins.
I saw the traces of a revocation ritual in Sarah Hawkins' office. Is it connected to this curse?
She tried to correct her mistake, yes. She tried everything. She told me. But she failed. And that's what counts.
What's going on this island?
I'm so sorry. We should never have met.
What are you talking about?
Destiny! It has trapped you. No, don't let it see you, or you won't be able to
Destiny's kind of a bitch like that.
Don't look at it. That's how it finds you.
What finds me?
Sarah Hawkins' visitor. The Shambler.
Sanders, pull yourself
Shambler?
together.
Without her, it's no longer possible to save me.
Not the Shambler.
No!
Sanders!
Oh! Bye, buddy! Jesus!
What the hell? I gotta...
It's time to go.
This is insane. What killed him?
It's fine. It's not our problem. Oh. Everything is locked! Please, let me out.
Damn!
Oh, not this again.
The gas! Oh, my head.
Later. We need to move on.
Okay, but how did he survive? Is my question. Beast. He got good. I understand.
Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
I think you do.
Who knows what he could do with what you see.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Like garbage.
Did I sleep long?
The day's only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr.
I'm not
Fuller
even
hasn't
looking
reported
at
the
him!
disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Please.
Bradley? Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I saw people in hoods. They had stolen Mrs. Hawkins' paintings.
Who are you talking about? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know, but they were a threat. They've taken over the caves under the mansion. They were performing some kind of ritual. One of the entryways was under Charles Hawkins' office.
We suspect Mr. Hawkins of being involved.
My patients believe the old islanders used to worship primitive sea gods. Could they be the focus of the cult?
Am I hearing this right?
So
Yes.
you think me gullible?
No, not at all.
What else did you uncover, Mr. Pierce?
Also, we'll probably go through this little section and then call it here. Those last couple of sections, like, really just kind of giving me, like, a massive headache, and, and I don't want to make it worse. So, like I said, we'll get through this, and then probably call it.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
Well, we'll play more of
The
this
fact that
on
Charles
Wednesday, I
Hawkins
imagine.
survived the fire.
I don't understand.
Might also do some Song of
Mr.
Horror. I don't know.
Hawkins
We'll
was
see
That's
how I'm
what he
feeling
would
come
have you
Wednesday.
believe.
It'll either be
I
this
have a
or
hard
Song
time
of Horror.
believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
You two know each other pretty well.
It's a tiny island. Everyone knows everyone. Especially since I'm a police officer and Marie's a doctor.
The chemistry is obvious.
I do seem a little bit stupid, don't I? Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Okay.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins Mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
Yeah,
And
about
then?
that.
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
No, I think we should talk about this more. Consider?
I have
Let's do that.
flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that
Bradley's face is horrifying at times.
nurse
The expressions he tries to pull.
everywhere. My legs, the pain, I couldn't bear it. I was screaming. They injected me with something. I woke up at the institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed demented.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Yeah, it's bad there.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You
I don't
should
know.
believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
We talked to Bradley. I might be onto a lead.
Francis Sanders.
I probably should have talked to Colden.
You know
Whoopsies.
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain.
He kind of got thrown against
Mr.
a wall.
Sanders died.
I didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
Or it is.
No, Francis Sanders
and we're just
was a
jumping to
well-known art
conclusions.
I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow.
Big choice was made.
Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Don't die this time. Alright. Game was saved. Return to main menu? Yes. Yes. Yes, please. Please. Return to main menu. Alright. Well, this was cool. I like this. I like this so far. It's neat. But like I said, I don't know if we'll play this or Song of Horror come Wednesday. But I'm excited either way for whatever it is that we end up doing. I liked this though. But oh jeez. Not me yawning. Let's set up a raid. I am tired, and I need to get some food and rest my brain from all the wibbling that was happening. Let's see, who do we got online? Handful of folks. Let's go say hi to Dot. I don't have anyone else that I want to go see that we haven't raided recently. It looks like Dot is doing some sort of platformer. What do we got? What is Dot doing, actually? Can't tell you at the moment. But we love Dot here. Yeah! Sounds like Fruity's on board for some Dot. But yeah, like I said, I'll be back on Wednesday. Don't know if we'll do Song of Horror or if we'll do more of this, but we will get back to Call of Cthulhu sometime soon anyway. Like I said, we might bounce between the two games for a little bit. Until then, have a good rest of your time zone. I will see y'all later. Take care of your dang selves. And, yeah, have a good one.